Kevin MacLeod.
Yeah, Kevin MacLeod.
That's who this tune is.
Turns out we're not the only ones that use him.
That's right.
Royalty free.
That's it. He's getting his art out there, man.
Got
This
it.
is the way to do it.
Exactly right.
Way to get distribution. So this is the Jimmy Doane Show, y'all. We are live. We're back. We were out on Wednesday because there was a horrible accident, it turns out, that took out a power pole near our studio. So we were power free on Wednesday. But we are back. So thanks for joining us. It's 4 o'clock. We do this twice a week these days, 4 o'clock, Sundays and Wednesdays, Eastern. And you can find us on YouTube with a nice time-stamped copy, all the subjects nicely designated. And also, you can find us around the web in audio format. Search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E. Today is the 19th of January, 2020. What is happening?
Okay, a lot of things. Okay, just one quick reminder when I leave here. Your Mrs. Jimmy is a Packers fan. And of course they're playing this evening at 6:40 or something like that. Fortunately, it's not pay-per-view, so I can record whatever, and she'll be happy because she loves whoever the quarterback is. I forget.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Yeah. She's crazy about him. Okay. Okay, so what's the big deal this week?
The big deal this week. Impeachment. Oh, okay.
Impeachment.
Hint. Okay.
Here's what's so great. I love this headline. So titanically self-aware is the Democratic resistance that it failed to do something was actually signing the party's death warrant Wednesday is what somebody said. And the reason is, why was this? An official Nancy Pelosi commemorative black and gold commemorative pen.
Yeah.
Now think about it. Normally, when you sign something momentous, like the Civil Rights Act, everything that you do, you have all these pens there, and everybody gets a copy, right? Okay, because it's momentous.
Yeah.
However, the impeachment, I'm sorry,
it's momentous.
It's not all that.
It's
but she had custom made.
It's a stain on his
right, but
blue dress.
Custom made gold-plated pens. There were like 14 or 20 of them.
Well, why not?
And she would do. Now at the same time, Trump signs the trade agreement for one of these places with a Sharpie. That's it. He signs all the stuff with a Sharpie.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but it's a big signature with a
Good
Sharpie.
for him. Permanent.
So here's the deal. The impeachment was worthy of Maxine Waters and the rest of them hovering over Nancy as she signed. And then they got a pen, a commemorative pen.
Yeah.
Signing the impeachment.
This is an emotional event.
Oh my God! Are you kidding? And we're not happy. We're not. This is a somber moment. But I had to order up these pens from Penn Central.
Nobody believes it's a somber moment.
I know that, but I'm just saying that what's so funny.
This has
got to backfire.
Political. It's personal.
Of course,
it's pretextual. I think everybody knows it. If you really thought that this was a real impeachment, then you're in the tank. On the left, that is to say,
a lot of them are. I mean,
of course.
I haven't. I've not listened to.
They had to get enough people to get it through.
Right. Exactly right. No. Well, of course, it was 100% party line vote. So now, of course, we're moving on to the Senate.
Right.
And I might have a word to say about that in a moment. It's because Trump's impeachment defense team. Includes lawyers. Now, the lefty is saying lawyers who represented killers and murderers and whatever else.
Like every lawyer.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein and O.J. Simpson.
Right, of course.
Okay, President Trump has named Kenneth Starr and Alan Dershowitz to the legal team that will defend him during the Senate impeachment trial.
Not really. Well,
no.
Dershowitz has come out and distanced himself from the situation.
Has he?
Yeah.
He's not going to testify or
He
say
is.
Is he going to have an opening statement?
Exactly.
Okay, well then that's good.
Well, right. And not only that, it may actually be better because he said, I would do this for any president.
Exactly.
I'm just going to go in there and say what the Constitution is about the issue. That's
right. And in fact, they've dug up, apparently, not only constitutional stuff, which is I won't say problematic, but everybody interprets it one way or the other, but I think from the Federalist Papers or from notes that those wrote back in those days about what you could do for this, and it turns out, no way, Jose.
What? Oh, yeah. Well, as I said before,
You can't impeach for these. These are non-crimes. You don't impeach for that.
Well, I'm with you in the sense that I think that the current understanding is high crime, which means not something that's a low crime, which in everybody's mind is something major. So
if you go to Russia and press the red button to launch the missiles, that's a high crime.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there are much bigger things, and
well, especially than obstruction of the Congress. I mean, who doesn't do that?
We talked about that before.
I know we did. We're going to talk about it again.
No, I know. I'm just telling everybody. I'm just reminding them that it's the same issue in the sense that that issue should have gone to the courts. It doesn't go into an impeachment thing.
So now
it's the same with this new one that they've coming out with, which is it's a crime for him to have withheld the money. That statute has in it a provision where if somebody violates it, what people are supposed to do. And it doesn't say impeach the president or anything like that.
What does it say?
It says that they can bring a case.
Bad.
Well, it says they can bring a civil case against the person in the administration who's in charge.
But it did get delivered, of course, eventually.
Yeah, it did.
But it was held up for.
Well, yeah, their argument there is it's like a theft. If you don't give the stuff back until you get caught. Once
that's true.
You get caught, you give it back. You're like, yeah, they got it back, So
they were going to get it back anyway, though.
What's that?
They were going to get it back anyway.
Well, yeah, they were going to get it. There's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
But look, here's all you have to know about the impeachment. Did you see Nancy's statement that she came out and said she was talking? They asked her how it was, and she said he has been held accountable. She said, about Trump. They were talking about the impeachment, and she's like, and she started to say, she was like, well, and he'll be held accountable. And she said, well, he has been held accountable. Okay. So in other words, in her mind, it's done.
It's done.
And so that just shows you it was about the show. It was about the political aspect.
I want to tell you.
What?
Go back and watch West Wing.
Oh, yeah.
And when Bartlett was condemned or whatever, the
censorship.
They censored him, right, or whatever. And it was a big deal. It was a whole show.
Yeah.
On the fact that it was a nothing burger when it was all said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, the show went on. Yeah. The whole deal. So this is the same kind of thing. And what Nancy is recognizing is that it's over now.
Right.
I think. Now there are people that are never going to give it up.
Well, there's still a slim chance here. It's the ninth inning, and the home team is ahead, and it's like 2 outs already, and the pitch is looking good and everything. But there's still a chance that something crazy could happen.
Right. Right. Well, they tried to dig up some stuff here last week.
Oh, and they won't let it go after this is over either.
Really?
Of course not. Why would you do that? Look, there'll be another impeachment theoretically.
No way.
There's
no chance.
Well, you say that, but I think it's.
I think they're going to get thumped on this one.
But how? There's no blowback until the election. That's measurable. I mean, I guess you could take a poll and say, has your mind shifted from left to right because of what's going on in terms of the impeachment? But I don't know that they would take that into account as much as some kind of a landslide election or something. I don't think they can see anything that holds them accountable for this act, and I think it's just a question of what they feel like doing, and if they think it looks bad. So,
I think that they're going. I've read a couple of things, especially on Lou Rockwell, that said they may have just committed suicide. The Dems.
It's possible, but nobody will know until November.
Well, you say that, but I think, well, maybe, okay, and of course we're not that far away.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what are things that I'm going to talk about here.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who are out there who are thinking that they just had a home run.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're celebrating. He's impeached now, guaranteed.
What's interesting is I don't know if it's Scott Adams or somebody else that said, "What do you think about impeached presidents?"
Right. Yeah.
What about Clinton? Do you think any worse of him? I mean, he was impeached for whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
well, and when it comes down,
and they're all talking about history will tell. 100 years from now, blah blah blah. Stain on this. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think people look back at the underlying act, and when they see Clinton, they think, oh, well, okay, he fooled around on his wife.
It's interesting. He fooled around, but that was not what his impeachment
No,
was.
I know. And
He lied like a rug.
right, and to me, that's not even, as we talked about, the worst crime in the whole thing. To me, the crime was the negligent infliction of emotional distress on Monica Lewinsky. And
you got that.
I mean,
right.
he put her through 6 months of absolute fear for her life.
Right.
And that was never even
months. Yeah, you're right.
brought up at any point. But they're going to, what are they, who even knows what Andrew Johnson was impeached for? What, does anybody remember? I mean,
they hated him anyway. They hated him.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
They hated him.
And that's why Trump was impeached.
This was in the old days. What happened was, of course, as you know, it was the second guy
became the vice
president, right?
Yeah.
And he could be from another party.
Yeah.
And they did
so
that.
if they impeach the president, then their guy gets in.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So yeah, that's...
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
No escape. Here's the headline I've got.
Okay.
Senators to be quiet, unplugged for the Trump trial. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is that the reality during the Senate's impeachment trial of President Donald Trump, which will start this week, coming this week, is all persons are commanded to keep silence on pain of imprisonment. That's what they read out. After that, 100 senators will sit at their desks for hours on end to hear the House prosecutors, Trump's defense team, possibly also Trump's defense team, and possibly a series of witnesses. I don't think the witnesses are going to be called up. But the bottom line is they're going to have to sit there in their chairs, literally, for anywhere from 2 to 10 hours. I don't know what they're going to do for piss. Or,
they can leave.
I know they can, but what I'm saying is, even when it says right here, it turns out that normally chummy senators won't even be allowed to talk at length to people nearby or walk on certain areas of the Senate floor.
Yeah, well, they're trying to keep it tight-lipped, I guess.
Well, I understand that, but I'm telling you, if I was one of those senators, I'd say, can we please get this over with today? Because there's 4 of them that want to go out and campaign.
Yeah, well, you've seen in the news, I'm sure, the political wrangling for control over the trial. And Nancy started out and said...
Yeah, well, that's bogus.
Well, right. But
totally bogus.
Right.
No, the fact is that Mitch is going to control it.
Of course.
And then, of course, Roberts is going to be, quote, the judge, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, House, go away.
Well, they already had their shot.
I know, right.
Both
and here's all the stuff, here's
right.
all the information. And of course, what the House is saying is, well, we need more new information has arisen since we can...
Right, and also our information was blocked, and that's one of our charges, which
right.
that's not how it works. But,
however, it doesn't. They can sit there and jump up and down and scream and holler all they want. The articles are already in the Senate.
I know.
And so...
They're going to do what they want with
exactly.
And we'll see. And yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be over soon, and then of course there'll be a cry of obstruction and cover up or whatever.
That's right.
But it doesn't matter. Look, the Senate, as we talked about, doesn't have to be an impartial jury because it is who it is. It's those people. Those are your jurors.
Right.
And they know what they know already. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because they have to shut up. They can't ask any questions. No.
Okay.
No. They have to shut
they can
up
always
during
change
the whole
those
thing.
rules. They can always change those rules.
So Mitch is going to allow that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know whatever their strategy is.
I guess it's going to be kind of fun to watch the July 4th fireworks here. Several months early because...
I think they'll keep it on the DL. I think if Mitch does what he's supposed to do, what he'll do is he'll have a very limited trial.
I agree.
Maybe they'll call a couple of witnesses. They'll agree in advance.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't think... if I were them, I wouldn't. I would say...
No, I think that's hard to believe.
But
they would call witnesses. Because right away, there's going to be a huge screaming on which witnesses did you call?
Yeah, but see, that's not going to be the... I mean, who's going to scream that? The people who were involved in the trial. like the people who
Well,
want
no,
to
the
win
House
or lose.
people, all the people.
Well, but that's not who I'm worried about screaming, or who
Really?
they would be. Yeah, it's
No?
the public. It's what how does this appear in the public land?
Always appearance in public.
Well, yeah, because
you're right.
It's political, and so the problem with not calling any witnesses is everybody's concept of a trial is there are witnesses,
Right.
and that's what the Democrats
This
are
ain't
putting
Perry
out there.
Mason.
No, well, it's not even really a trial.
No,
because we talked
understand.
about the
I know.
evidence is
And
already.
They've tried to make
collected.
it clear, and they failed.
Well, yeah, well, they're up against the concept that this is a unique thing in
It
the law,
is.
right? But that's impossible to. It's like, okay, so everything you know about American law, it's different from that.
Right.
That gives us no guidance.
Right.
And,
And that's right.
Right. And so, but the bottom line is they'll have quote unquote they'll have fair rules because they'll be voted on by them, and then they'll get through this, and then it'll be over, and then we'll see if they impeach again before.
I love it because a precedent was set in 1868. What? I'm sorry. What? So anyway, okay, moving along.
Uh-huh.
This has to do with Virginia.
Okay. Oh yeah,
This
the
is
gun
a really big deal. Virginia wants to close non-government gun ranges and create ammo-free. Now this is from last week, but I just had to do it anyway. And create ammo-free zones. This is Virginia has a different kind of legislature. I forget what it's called, but
Oh right, yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's not like Nebraska. It's not unicameral.
unicameral.
They do have two houses. Anyway, they want to ensure gun ranges are government controlled. And it turns out that HB 567 said it would outlaw many indoor gun ranges that are not owned by the state government. So I mean, you go down here to he's got one, no problem.
Yeah.
You go down there and shoot your brains out, so to speak.
That's what they're worried about.
No, that's what they're worried about. They're actually not too worried about that.
Well, look, they're worried about anything they can put out there to be.
Well, what's interesting, private ranges are allowed, absolutely allowed. They would have to cater to law enforcement as their primary clientele. And gun ranges would serve as data collection points. That is what happens.
There's no way that survives a Supreme Court challenge.
Oh, I don't think it's good. This is what's been proposed.
Right.
I find it hard to believe that it would survive the Virginia legislature. It also would create ammunition-free zones. There's another HB 318, ammunition-free zones, making it that much sense as the law that caused the original hullabaloo, the one that would ban weapons that could have a large magazine.
Right. People's perceptions are still weird. I saw a post. Oh, I think it was Robert Reich or something. He was talking about he was over in England, or no, he was in Stockholm, and somebody said, "What happened over in America? Now everybody can own a machine gun," and we're like, "What? What do you
I wish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's funny. That's the perception. A machine gun.
HB 318 would send
anybody.
anyone in possession of ammunition to prison for a currently undetermined amount of time. That's the other thing. Is that, of course, again, this is all proposal. Nothing's been passed.
Well, there are laws in effect in the United States whereby even a piece of a gun.
I know
is
that a
considered-
shell,
Yeah,
literally an expended
shell.
brass.
That's right. Is considered a firearm.
Jesus.
So
That's in New York, I think.
Yeah, and so don't scoff at that at them talking about that, because they could do it, and it is Virginia.
That'd be kind of fun.
But
it'd be fun. I'm
Get
thinking.
a bag of shells and
A bag of brass.
Right, exactly.
And just throw it out. You know what I mean? I thought about this.
Possession of 500 firearms.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. You just
1
throw it out
million
there.
years in
But
prison.
I think about this stuff. There was that movie where they had the steel balls and they rolled them through the place that would detect if steel was coming through the doorway so that they could arrest you.
Oh, okay.
And they threw them all in there. And of course, and they snuck around it because all the alarms were going on. And this is, of course, another thing. If you throw the brass out there, that's too much fun. Anyway, the few exceptions. The few exceptions, of course, would allow law enforcement officers, former law enforcement officers, and anybody that had a concealed carry permit, or those who use knives with metal blades in their trades. Other than that, everything has to be securely locked in their trunk while they're in, I don't know if this must be a misprint, while they're in traffic circles and parking lots. So I think that's a misprint.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the people that are allowed are the people that I'm worried about, actually. I mean, law enforcement.
Of course, that's what the Second Amendment is there to protect.
Exactly.
It's literally turns the Second Amendment on its head. That's why I say there's no way it would survive.
Yeah, I agree.
A constitutional challenge.
However, moving along in Virginia again, guess what? This is I'm trying to think tomorrow, Monday. As gun rights activists, white nationalists, and the white nationalists and militia groups prepare to rally at the state capitol tomorrow, Monday, to protest.
You're talking about the Nazi march?
Yeah, that's the right exact way of it. They're panic stricken that this is going to be another Charlottesville.
Right.
Okay, which of course. What's his name? Adams has debunked this on so many levels.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that, it's just,
well, that's about Donald Trump's statements. I mean, I think they're worried about somebody driving a car through there or something, but even so, that was one crazy person.
Okay, well, anyway, that's what they're panicking about.
Right.
So what they've done, this is great. What they've done is the Virginia Citizens Defense League, which organizes I didn't realize this, the annual gun rights rally. Says it wants a peaceful event. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand that. But the crowd is expected to be larger than usual because Democrats have taken control of the legislature and are starting to think about passing those laws that we just talked about. And so there's a lot of people that are going to go up there, obviously, and say, whoa, wait a minute, you've gone, a bridge too far. And so that would limit handgun purchases and require background checks. Now, I'm guessing that what they're going to try and do is to require background checks on these gun shows that we go to. When you buy, we go to gun shows here all the time. Now, there's a bunch of dealers that show up there.
Yeah.
And I've gone down there and bought a gun from a dealer.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll give it to you on Monday, but you have to fill out this paperwork and you have to come to my store.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But there's people that are just do this, I don't say.
Well, yeah, you can buy it from the other people walking around.
Right, exactly. And I was walking around, had people offer me for my gun.
Yeah.
Not too much.
So then you'd have to facilitate.
Background? Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about? Okay, so.
And how do you check whether the background check is okay or not? Do you make that call? And then it's silliness. I mean.
Of course it is. But anyway, the governor has declared a state of emergency.
Right.
Already. A preemptive state of emergency. Seriously.
Those are just magic words.
In anticipation of the event, he said, and this is what I love, credible intelligence. Now wait a minute, where have you heard this recently? What words, credible intelligence, have you heard recently?
Well, like during the Mueller report, there was a lot of credible intelligence.
No, I'm talking about the rockets in Iran.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about when they killed that guy. We have credible intelligence that he was getting ready to assassinate or, kill a whole bunch of soldiers. Credible intelligence.
Yeah, of what? Of what?
That's the whole point.
Well, no, but I mean in Virginia, like what,
indicated the rally would draw armed militias and hate groups.
So? That doesn't...
No, I know that. I know. But he declared a state of emergency.
Right. Well, those are just magic words to get some funding for
really?
Yeah.
It's not... I would think of some magic words to get every possible police, state trooper, whatever it is out there to surround everybody and intimidate the hell, like they did here when we had our, quote, white supremacists try and talk.
Right.
Jesus.
But, that might be it. But the point is that I'll bet you that gets them funding, federal funding is what that does.
Yeah.
To say it's an emergency.
Okay, good. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
Do you remember this guy, Vermin Supreme?
Was that a guy? It's
an actual guy.
Yeah.
Vermin Supreme has been running for president for I don't know how. He's up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
As a libertarian.
Yeah.
He won one of the things.
Well, in New Hampshire.
I know that. But what I'm saying is, it says in here, if you ever see this guy, I mean, he's obviously
well put together, sort of a Karl Lagerfeld type.
No. he wears a cone hat and beard
like Karl Lagerfeld.
No, I tell you the guy. But the point is that the whatever little district he was in, he was running as a libertarian for president, and he won it. He won it conditionally. Apparently, apparently his people that voted him may not go to the actual Libertarian convention to vote for him. I don't know.
Right.
But the point is, this guy has been how can I put this? The Libertarians.
He's a mainstay. I remember. I think he was at the convention that I went to.
I wouldn't doubt it. He's been around for years.
Yeah.
And he's not a gadfly by any. He reminds me a little bit of what Lysander Spooner would look like.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who don't know who Lysander Spooner is, he was a writer of the original Libertarian from the 1860s and 1870s. Mm-hmm. And this guy wrote some and people love him. And then there's organizations
You're comparing him to Lysander Spooner?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vermin Supreme?
Yeah. I mean, he is, a lot of people consider him to be off the rails, but a lot of stuff that he has to say is, libertarian, real libertarian stuff. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that he looks like a whack job, and he probably won't be president. I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. He won't be president. But I just thought it was interesting. He won, the thing here. It's a non-binding presidential preference poll is what it was. And so one of the things that happens is, as you know, even the Libertarian Party has a convention mm-hmm. where they have delegates like everybody else. So, who gets to go and vote for whomever it is. It is interesting that this year...
I was delegate.
Yes. Well, this year, as opposed to 2016, there's at least one or two people that are real libertarians that are running. That actually are sane people, totally. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens with that. I will talk about that later. Now, moving along, we're going to move along to baseball.
Okay.
Astros fired general manager and manager over the cheating scandal. The Houston Astros Monday fired their general manager and their manager, AJ, whatever was, when they found the club used technology to steal signs from the 2017 and 2018 season. Now, this is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened was they set up this actually has been a problem for, I can't remember, it might have been 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, that they had somebody out there way past center field who was signing the pitches that the catcher was making the signs for, and they caught him. Well, this time apparently they were a little more subtle about it, and they actually put a little TV camera out there, and they piped it back into the dugout for the Astros, and they could find out what pitch was coming. Well, apparently, I don't know this because I've gone up there and tried to hit a ball from a pitcher before, and I wouldn't have cared if the guy said the ball's going to be right here. I still wouldn't have hit it. But I mean, these guys are that good that it's going to be a sinker, it's going to be a slow pitch, it's going to be a fastball, it's going to be a curve, whatever it is.
Because you got to make up your mind to swing.
In nanoseconds.
Right.
In nanoseconds. So anyway,
if you know what
somehow they were telling the batter which pitch was coming, mm-hmm. And they've proved it.
Yeah.
So the Houston Astros, they won because they had all this information. Apparently, they've analyzed the videos. Huh?
Certainly didn't hurt.
Didn't hurt. That's right. And of course, that's the other thing is that we'd have won it anyway. Right. Okay. Well, it turns out they came from last. It reminded me a little bit of Moneyball.
Came from last place and.
No, Moneyball.
Yeah.
Moneyball, which is one of the greatest movies on the planet, where this team out there in California came from last to first, almost first. It's with one of the best movies on the planet about baseball. Mm-hmm. If you ever see one, Moneyball, please see that movie. Anyway, the problem is that they skyrocketed in 4 years from last to first. And people were saying, geez, really good, So anyway, the league announced that they have a $5 million penalty, which is really so stupid you can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitcher gets paid $30 million.
Right.
So
who's got that?
Yeah, who's got that? Hey, wait a minute. Let me open my locker here. I got penalty to forfeit their first and second round picks in 2020 and 2021. In last month, The Athletic reported that the team stole signs from a center field camera trained on the opposing team's catcher, and the players studied a monitor to know what pitch was coming. Investigators interviewed 68 witnesses, including current and former Astros players, and reviewed tens of thousands of emails, texts, and messages and videos. The investigative report said virtually all the players had some involvement or knowledge of the scheme. Many admitted they knew that it was wrong. And I find it amazing in a way to me that if you're on this team and you know this is doing what you know the history that you're not supposed to do this, and you go and do it.
Yeah, well, you know how this happens. I mean, what happens is you've got one person who's willing to do this, and they convince somebody in charge to let them do it. And then once that happens, everybody else has to you got to make a choice. It's fall in line or fall outside of line and take the risk. Are you going to be the whistleblower? And does that mean you get canned immediately and all your people you worked with and all your friends and everybody, and I mean, you turn them in too? I mean, and what if you're the fourth or fifth guy who finds out? Then some of your buddies already went along with it, and they
Or
just
reminds me a
because
little
they
bit of
didn't
the
know what else to do.
steroid scam.
Exactly. It's exactly the same thing.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. This is a cheating thing that helps, that somebody was able to justify up the chain, and now everybody's got to go along with it. I mean, think of you're on U.S. Postal and Lance Armstrong, and you've been idolizing him for years, and then you get there, and they're like, yes, we're all doping, and so are you.
Well, I can sort of understand that in a way, and I can sort of understand the steroid business with it, because they did it, yes, but it was the first time.
Yeah.
But this was the second time.
Yeah. Well, the science
everybody
things,
knew it was wrong.
Yeah. Other people have been caught before.
Exactly.
So it's just too tempting not to use the technology. It's too
I know.
easy.
No, I know that.
And it might even happen by accident at first. Somebody might have been sitting there recording on their cool phone and like live streaming it to their friend in the dugout or something, or in the control room, and they said, "Hey, look at this! I can read the signs," or I mean something.
Have you ever noticed? Of course, one of the things that is humorous. Every time the pitcher or anybody talks to anybody, they hold their glove up.
Sure.
I mean, they're panicked with reason. Somebody can read lips,
right? But
and
see, to me, this gets down to, look, man. I mean, you want to just say, play the game, but there's so much money at stake.
That's the case. That's really what happens. I mean, seriously, when you're paying $38 million for a pitcher. Or
well, and the difference between winning the pennant and not winning the pennant,
my God, yeah,
is an extra $100 million for the team or something.
Yeah,
everybody goes happy.
So the next question is: should the Astros lose their World Series title?
Well, yeah.
Well, you say that, but let me tell you, it's interesting. 4 years after the finishing with the worst record in the team, they won the World Series. Mm-hmm. Okay, so an extensive MLB investigation revealed that the team used video cameras to determine the opposing pitchers' upcoming pitches to provide Houston's batters with an unfair advantage, blah, blah, blah. Major violation of thing. But there are questions about the practical issues that would come along with erasing events from the record books, and concerns of legal issues that could arise.
Mm-hmm. There are, but
I mean, the fact
you have to do something, and they won the World Series, and now there's proof that they were cheating. I mean, that you certainly put an asterisk by there.
Okay,
but
what about the rings that everybody got and that kind of stuff?
Give them back, man.
Yeah.
Well, no, those I would say go ahead and keep those. You can have your tainted ring, and
tainted ring.
That's it. Yeah, that's your consolation prize.
Put your ring back, and we're gonna recoat it with copper.
Etch out your.
Yes, etch out. Right.
No, I would say you just change it in the official thing. You DQ them. You give it to the other team, and it's just there. And
you give it to the other team. That's a problem.
Well,
they might not have won, even with the cheating.
Oh, I know, but it doesn't matter. You have to punish the Astros in some way. For 2 years.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, and of course this actually happens in horse racing, where the winner comes across and they find out he's been DQ'd, and the second guy gets the win.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So it's
well, that's interesting. We'll see what's going to happen. But what's interesting is the MLB. The penalty was a nothing burger. I mean, $5 million plus.
Yeah, no, I know, that's ridiculous.
And that's what everybody's saying is wait a minute. Here's people that won the, and so they were in legal issues. You can bet that the attorneys are going to be in there like...
No.
Okay, let me continue on here. I thought this was interesting. The Space Force... The Space Force, yes, has unveiled service uniforms.
right, that are camo.
Camo. Camo.
Yeah.
I talked to
Everybody saw that.
Skip about. I talked to our friends in Hanger Dogs about this,
Gene.
and I said, "Huh,
Gene, go ahead.
yeah, Gene and Scoot, Stitch, Gene and Stitch." And I saw a picture in the mountain, and they're walking around in camo. I said, "What do you do?"
Well, it's black with little stars on it.
Don't laugh. Needless to say, the comments that came up was you should have showed, a Galaxy shirt or something like
exactly.
that. Because, but of course
it's just a Galaxy.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting. Galaxy class, yeah. But I thought it was interesting the branch has been utilizing uniforms from other military branches to prevent unnecessary costs. Like they really care about that. I mean, they don't.
This is the slimmed down version of the military. Let me tell you.
That's right.
This is the
Right.
lean
We're going to say,
trim.
in the $700 billion military budget, we're going to save about $100.
D. Trump said it was $2 trillion that he'd spent in the last couple of years.
I wouldn't doubt it anyway. So anyway, the bottom line is that they're
scraping
it says here
it together.
Members will look like their joint counterparts that they'll be working with on the ground.
Just reconstituting the military.
So the bottom line is when you come from outer space and you come down, you'll still look like one of the guys who didn't go to outer space, I guess, because you're in camo. But I mean, you're being camo in the mountain, for God's sakes. I mean, I understand, and it's always interesting to me, and I guess, who wants to change their clothes? You see people walking through the airports all the time in total camo, like, I see you anyway. So anyway, needless to say, some of the suggestions were to have, a star field.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, I know.
That makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense, that's right.
And when you're making a raid on somebody else's star shuttle from your spacewalk, and they look out and they're like, "Oh my God, there's a bunch of men." Oh no, it's just some little galaxies.
Yeah, that's it.
And then
blinking.
That's it. And
little LED lights.
That's it.
Well,
move like a galaxy. Spin.
So anyway, but along the same lines, the U.S. Navy. We have more UFO stuff, and you're definitely not allowed to see it.
Oh, yeah? No kidding.
Yeah, this is great. The U.S. Navy reportedly has footage and documents related to a UFO incident video that caused a sensation when it was leaked in 2017. But they won't reveal anything. They've had the Freedom of Information Act people come up and say, we'd like to see it, because it would cause exceptionally grave damage to national security of the United States. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You've got video of UFOs, and of course, there's the Freedom of Information Act request.
Those are just the magic words. Remember, it will cause
I know that.
damage to national security.
I mean, I know that. I feared for my life.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's what that is. We had to do it. National security.
National security. But I just think there.
National security.
Yeah, but you have to ask yourself,
it's like
what about
immunity.
a UFO video would threaten national security? Number one,
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I mean, you release this thing, and suddenly you see a video that's like out of the 1951 flying saucer. It came from out, whatever it was. What was the movie?
There's some alien there.
Yeah, right. No. What was the one? The really famous one where they landed on the Washington Monument grounds and came out and
the day the Earth stood.
The day the Earth stood still. Right, and that's so they have that video. Okay.
All right.
They have an actual video of that.
See, they can't release that because then people would know that they are aliens, and what they would do instantly is they would grab their guns and run down to the bank and rob the bank. And there would be just chaos and mayhem. People would just panic in the streets.
That's right.
They'd lose their minds.
That's right.
Because
cats and dogs meowing, the mooing, cows coming out of the pen.
You got it.
Everything. It's just like in Ghostbusters. What was that they said in Ghostbusters?
That's right. Cats and dogs living together.
Cats and dogs. So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm thinking to myself. I can't imagine personally any video that would hinder national security.
No, we would.
You have a video, and the space alien, zaps a satellite. Well, okay, so I mean that's a problem, but that doesn't bother me.
You got to think about there's a swath of people in the country who believe that that humans are more dangerous when they're armed. And it's the anti-gun people is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
And they think, well, if people think there are aliens out there, then they'll go arm up, and then we'll just have a lot more reckless incidents. And so national security will have little militias forming, and they'll threaten national security.
They'll all go into the mountains and do what do you call it? Militia.
Red Dawn.
Yeah, Red Dawn.
And it's right. That's what they're imagining, but it's ridiculous. I'm with you. What people would do is they would be safer. I mean, if we really knew there were aliens, if we had the proof, like you said, the video of that thing, I think people would straighten up a little bit. I think.
Hey, look, they haven't killed me so far.
Well, there's that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if they're that good to come 73,000 light years over here and hover around and kind of look at me.
If they show up before we show up, like it's whoever shows up is going to have the technological advantage.
You think? Jesus Christ! Can you imagine what it takes to go warp?
Whatever it is, we don't have it.
We don't have it.
And I can't imagine it, because if I did, I could make $1 billion like tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's the truth. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting. The military does not refer to these sightings as UFOs, but rather unidentified aerial phenomena.
I know. They've abandoned the UFO term like it's retarded or something. I mean, they've gone. It's taboo. You can't say UFO anymore.
This is what it's funny because
forget about the fact that all it means is unidentified.
Yeah, we know that.
I don't think people do. I think they're treating it as though UFO means a craft from another planet.
Right.
And
it might not be.
No.
Just other people are saying it's Russian.
Right.
They got a hypersonic something or another.
Or ours, and just unidentified.
Well, when you think about it for a second, until it got shot down, the U-2s were overflying Russia.
Yeah.
I mean, for years.
Well, and look, this particular pilot, the one who filmed this cool Navy thing.
Oh, yeah?
He's like a 15-year commander veteran.
Oh, yeah,
person.
right.
And he talks about the things that he used to do for fun, which was buzz people in the desert out by Area 51.
Oh yeah.
And
really?
Yeah, and he would say he would make his ship like he knew a trick so that he could come over just the right way so that they didn't hear the sound until the last second, and then he would do a straight vertical climb, and he knew from their angle what it would look like, and then. So he would just mess with the campers.
Who wouldn't?
Of course.
Who wouldn't?
But then he very credibly came back and said, "And what I saw was not of this earth."
Right. Of course, it was his buddy doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get captain on this one, man. Watch this.
That's it.
We'll fool his radar. You hack into his.
If he can do it, I can do it.
Oh my God! Well, and that would be what a prank. Can you imagine 5 years from now, at his retirement, they bust out the video of them hacking into his onboard computer to rig his radar signal or something?
Oh yeah. No, you get to the point where you can do it from the ground, for God's.
Well, that's what I mean.
Before he takes off, you hack in.
Oh, exactly. You put this chip in here, and you're good to go at T minus 3 hours.
No, that'd be great.
The program's going to play, and he's going to think he's seeing something.
Yeah, this is great. Okay, let's see. One quick thing here I've got is Iran announces arrests over its downing of the Ukrainian passenger plane that killed 170. They arrested some individuals in connection with the revolutionary.
Sounds like they're going to toast air traffic control guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously, I can't.
Private.
It was interesting though. They did find out there were 2 missiles that were fired apparently.
Yeah, I saw that.
And apparently, I mean, who knows? I can't believe it. But.
Exactly.
This is going to be.
Well, that's like them when they murdered the people who murdered Khashoggi.
Right.
For murdering.
Exactly. Right. We've extracted. We've got rid of this problem.
That's right. Now we're going to kill them.
And they're dead. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. Okay. Let's just see here. As you know, Cory Booker has now gone.
Yeah, Booker's out.
So now there are no persons of color.
Well, Elizabeth Warren.
Right. Well, of course, that's right.
On.
Well, yeah.
Jeez.
Okay. Qualified for the opening debate of 2020.
That's some kind
no chance the Democratic committee will be a person of color. Something considered plausible, indeed likely, at the beginning of the contest when there were 24 of them.
Well, one of them will get selected for VP, maybe.
That's what there's a lot of stuff about that. And of course, one of the things is between Bernie and Liz and somebody else, I don't know, who's going to be VP and blah blah blah, and Biden.
Yeah.
And of course, the other thing is what's interesting is that this Senate hearing, as you know, is keeping Liz and Bernie out of the running for the primaries.
Okay.
I mean, depending on how long this goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on, it's all politics, but it sort of depends on something. Is Mitch going to delay the hearings, call witnesses, blah blah blah, on into the
Primaries, right?
Primaries, yeah, into the primary, the two major ones.
Caucuses.
Yeah, the caucus, right, and everything like that. Is he going to do that? Or is he just going to say, look, this is we're over here and let's get back to it?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is for 10 hours a day or whatever it is, those guys cannot be out campaigning.
Yeah.
And Biden can be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I still think Biden is the deep threat to Trump, but
to Trump?
yeah, he's the well. No, I mean of the field, I don't think he's a threat.
Oh, no.
I just think
Not
of the
at all.
field, he's the most likely one. And if he
He
can
might
through
get, yeah, like you say, at this point,
Right.
which is like way before
oh,
anything.
we're still a million.
We're still a million miles
years-
away. At this point,
Right. I still think it's
think he
going to
might
be
get the
Hillary
nomination, but
or
so
somebody
what?
else.
Huh?
I still think it's going to be Hillary or somebody else coming in.
Yes, you do. don't you?
I do because the field still is just terribly, terribly weak, and it seems like I know more competent, intelligent, charismatic Democrats in town
Yeah.
than these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like they don't seem to be terribly informed or
Well, then what's
anything.
interesting, of course, especially with Biden, is that there are tapes, there are videos of him saying opposite things all over the place.
Well, but he's been out there for 40 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, and that I can expect, and I would see that. But just when you hear him talk, when I hear Elizabeth talk, she's just like, it's just I got a plan for that, and then some grandiose thing, and then she swears she's a capitalist, and then she says something communistic.
Plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me just tell you, I'm moving on. So anyway, they're of course they're worried about the all black electorate, which of course this is one of the things that's interesting is people are always going after this is 12% or 13% of the population in the United States, and apparently this is some kind of swing vote type of thing or whatever it is.
Well,
and I just
that's
and of course this is racism.
Right.
If you're gonna go
You
after
expect them all
quote
to vote.
the black vote,
Right.
and and of course what's interesting when you
But we're
see the
still in
polls. And you see the polls and quote the people that they poll on the phone or whatever, are you black? Yes, whatever. And who are you going to, and why? And, what have they done for you lately kind of stuff. And, this is kind of a given. And they want to go after
Democrats are still under the belief that the first thing you do is separate people up into some kind of category.
Right, no, that's right. Exactly
And then
right.
It's a question of how can you cater to that category.
And yet I'm a uniter.
Right.
We're
Well,
all uniters.
right. Well, the
Except
concept
when
is that I do that to every group except for the white men,
Right.
and then we get them all together,
That's it.
except for that guy.
Well, I want to talk to you. I mean, let's see. Okay, I'm about done with that. Let me just move on here real quick to Bloomberg.
So we mentioned Bernie.
Oh, Bernie. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
there's a couple things about Bernie. Well, first of all, you saw the hoopla this week after the debate
Right.
with the Bernie and Liz exchange.
No handshake.
Well, not only that,
but
she came out and said, "You called me a liar."
Called me a liar.
And he said, "No, you called me a liar," or whatever. And CNN conveniently played that. And CNN, of course, had their moderator. You saw what she did to Bernie. Everybody knows what she. As soon as she asked Bernie, "What did you say? Did you say?"
God.
He said no, and then she turns to Liz and was like, "Yeah." So how did you feel when he said that? But my point by mentioning all that stuff is, it's interesting that the CNN, at least, if not the media, are trying to choose Liz, and they're trying to marginalize Bernie.
You're right.
And she's going along with it, like she's she's now come knives out for Bernie, trying to get him. I think she's been dropping in the polls a little bit.
Stabbed him in the back.
Totally. And I think it's going to go, I think that's going to hurt her bad, because I think she was being supported by a lot of Bernie bros who just kind of wanted a better alternative. Like maybe they thought, oh, she's a woman also, and maybe she has a little bit more chance because she's more mainstream. She says she's a capitalist, at least. I know she's a total freaking socialist, but she says capitalism is in my bones.
Well, I think that what Scott Adams said.
She's so honest.
What Scott Adams said was, are the Bernie voters support group going to go for Liz, if it comes to that, or are the Liz voters going to go for Bernie? And Scott says, there's no question.
Right.
The Liz supporters are going to go for Bernie in a second.
Well, no, yeah, and when you compare,
and not the other way.
Exactly. And when you compare the two people, you've got Bernie, who just inherently is honest.
Right.
Everybody knows that about Bernie.
Everybody knows, right.
He's been saying the same thing for 40 years.
He's been consistent for 40 years.
Seriously. He's like the only one in Congress, other than maybe Ron Paul, that actually says stuff that he means. And so you're going to go up against him on honesty?
Right, right.
Liz? You?
Pocahontas?
Come on, man. You're going down like a sack of potatoes against Bernie for honesty. And I think that she has already. I think that the media, the public, the social media reaction seems to be...
It was mixed, shall we say. You saw certain lefties going,
Well, there's people who are... I think that there's a concerted wave that are anti-Bernie because they think he can't
may be,
win.
but I'll tell you, one of the big people that really was devastated by Liz was Michael Moore.
Oh yeah.
He just said,
he
said, I've known her forever. I filmed her, blah blah blah. But when she did this, this is like, she has really ruined herself. I cannot support her anymore.
See, I think she's going to get a lot of that.
She got, from Michael Moore of all people, she's been in his videos, in his movies, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And he has started a new super lefty podcast called Rumble. I'm serious, and I listen to it. It's called Rumble, and he's off the rails in the lefty commie type stuff, but he's got some creds in his movies.
Uh-huh.
I've watched his movies, and they're pretty good movies.
They're persuasive.
They're very persuasive.
I like the movies.
Oh, I love the movies.
Yeah.
Seriously. But the point is that he's now started this podcast, which has already got 500,000 subscribers. He started it last week.
He's very popular.
Very popular. Anyway, but he came out and he said he was so disappointed, blah, blah, blah. And Liz, as far as he's concerned, she's off his list.
Right.
Well, that's... when Michael Moore says that,
I know
that is a big deal.
I think she took a big hit after that.
There's no question. And that, when you have somebody like that has thrown up his hands and said, this is beyond the pale.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to accept this, but not this.
Right.
And so,
well, if Liz goes down soon, if she goes down harder in the polls, we know Bernie's going to stay. We said from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
He's in it for the long haul.
He is.
Some Democrats going to be there, and
he's got the grassroots. He's got supporters like Trump has supporters.
Yeah, no,
these people are
true believers.
They're true believers. Yeah. They're like the Jim Jones or whatever.
Totally.
These people.
Sure.
Let's all go to South America and drink Kool-Aid.
Hey,
yeah, that's go
ahead.
Okay, moving along to another candidate.
Sure.
Bloomberg.
Okay.
Bloomberg pledges he's got a plan.
Oh yeah.
Boy, whew, everybody's got.
Yeah, he says he's going to spend $1 billion.
$70 billion.
What? No.
$70 billion to bolster Black America in new plan.
No.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you meant his plan to spend $1 billion on the election. Should he even not?
No. He wants to spend $70 billion of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
On Black America in a new plan. Now, it's certainly not racist, but former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg will announce on Sunday, today, his presidential campaign's plan to aim at bolstering economic opportunity for Black Americans, promising to triple their income over the next decade, but stopping short of promising reparations. And of course, the question is, well, what's the difference? They're going to end up tripling their income, and you're going to spend $70 billion of taxpayer money.
It's not a lot of money, but
Well, anyway, let me move along here.
for the whole country or what? Is that New
For
York?
black people.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean in out of the
whole country.
Right.
So anyway, to focus on investing in black businesses and home ownership, which includes $70 billion investment in the country's 100 most disadvantaged neighborhoods. The money will be controlled by a new White House office called the Neighborhood Equity and Opportunity Office, otherwise known as the NEOO, which will coordinate across federal agencies. The plan provided did not explicitly state the criteria to determine the level of disadvantage beyond saying it's place-based and evidence-based, and certainly not black-based. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
In its proposal, mortgage and loan guarantors will be forced to update their credit scoring requirements, and which maintains that
Your score would have been a 500.
Right, exactly. He said the score is biased against African Americans. Under the initiative, the new Fairness Commission would be established with a $10 billion fund to work with localities and municipalities to test potentially reserve housing laws that might discriminate against buyers and renters of color.
What is going to be the key feature of the Fairness Commission?
Blick.
Unfairness.
Oh, unfair. Yeah, exactly. The $70, I love this, the $70 billion quote plan is nothing less than thinly veiled reparations payout.
Yeah.
This is one in the comments.
Yeah.
Payout. In the back of already saddled taxpayer, nothing doing. The community has been receiving de facto reparations for decades in the form of Medicaid, subsidized housing, food stamps, welfare, affirmative action, and so forth and so on. There are multiple priorities amongst all Americans that need to be addressed. This is one of the comments that was underneath against the Bloomberg plan. Mm-hmm. But again, if you think this is not racist, you're crazy. I mean, $70 billion for black Americans. It says flat out for black Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about divide. You talk about what do they call it when you have you're aimed at different groups. I forget now. They call it
pandering.
Well, yeah, pandering to certain groups. And of course, but what gets me about all this is, and then they come out and they say, "I'm a uniter, not a divider."
Right.
And of course, but your whole platform is on dividing. It's I'm going to favor this group and that group and that group and that group, but we're all going to do this together.
That's right. Well, once I favor all those groups correctly, then we'll all be together. That's, I guess, the ultimate plan. Or sometimes it's not even a plan. Like, I this is one thing I had this week was Greta. You saw she's over in Davos.
Yes, I talked about that before. She was going to Davos, right?
Yeah, and so she went, and she said that now is the time to abolish billionaires.
Right. Well, it is.
There's no metric there. I mean, what if you have 900 million? Oh no, I'm a good guy. I'm only 900 million. And what is that per family? I mean, what? How? It's just such a crazy arbitrary thing.
Well,
there.
of course, the whole thing is how do you abolish them except by
who does the abolishing?
Point of a gun.
Well, exactly. Well, you just go take the money.
But you take the money at the point of a gun.
Well, for sure.
I mean, you can sit there. They've sucked it out of your bank account, but they've done it at the point of a gun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the. This.
And meanwhile, you got Musk. Did you see the rocket landings this week? I meant to tape it, but
no.
Oh, there was a fantastic Twitter video of the 2 booster rockets landing.
Really?
Yeah, coming out of the sky like 2 meteors.
No kidding.
And then hitting the controlled burn right before the.
Right out of science fiction.
Oh man, it's literally what it looks like.
Literally, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, you watch the 1930s up to anything after the 1930s movies where these rockets come down, and they land, and you think, and for the last 40 years of our stuff, you had to parachutes and splash down and whatever, or a big rubber ball.
And this thing comes down like a TIE fighter. I mean, just
my God,
just right down.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's killer. Good stuff. And that's what you get for a billionaire. And of course, it saved us billions of dollars, I'm sure, whatever NASA would spend.
Can you imagine? I mean, seriously. I mean, this is what private people do, for God's sake.
And she wants to take 9/10 of that guy's money and do what?
And do what? Yeah. no more rockets for you.
That's right.
No rockets for you.
I don't know. It's crazy, but
It is crazy.
you can't tell what's going on. You were mentioned earlier about the news. Did you see the floods in Queensland? The Queensland's floods?
Was a big rain.
Big rain. Yeah.
Big rain. Yeah, big problem. Didn't put the fires out. I don't.
I guess not. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell. That's what I'm saying. It's impossible to tell. But I did see an article that said that these fires in Australia were some of the worst fires ever.
Okay.
So that was very reassuring to me.
Yeah, some of the worst.
Right.
Yeah, not the worst.
No.
Some of the worst.
Clearly not the
Bad.
worst.
You're
Because
right.
you know they would have said the worst.
Right, exactly.
Clearly
exactly.
not even arguably the worst.
Right.
They'd have said arguably the worst. Clearly not even the worst must have been like a long time in the past. Or they would have said the recent fires are the worst ever.
Or the worst this century. Or the
Exactly.
Worst of the last 40 years.
Decade.
We hear that decades.
Anything.
Yeah.
None of that stuff is in there.
No.
So that's a reassuring headline we get
I agree.
about the fire.
I mean, I saw the satellite images. We talked about this last time, I think, was the satellite images, and it was 15,000 acres or whatever it was,
Yeah.
or 15, I don't know how many it was,
No, well,
about
million.
15 million maybe.
Yeah.
But the satellite images, and they showed the fires, and the fires from when they showed all of Australia, there's a red dot here and a red dot here and a red, that's where the fires are. I mean, yes, it's bad because it's on the coast.
It all burned.
Yeah, it all burned. Well, I mean, no, I'm sorry. And they're talking to the other thing that I've seen is 1 billion animals have died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I understand, and it sounds bad, but they didn't give you how many mammals are there?
900 million insects.
Yeah. Well, no, they're talking about the kangaroos and the
Yeah,
wallabies.
but that's been overblown too. They were talking about the virtual extinction of the koala bears, and they were like, "Oh yeah, maybe not." Look, look. This is one of those stories where it's like, give it a few weeks,
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens.
Right.
If we hear all flights to Australia canceled because it's a charred briquette over there,
Yeah.
and business has collapsed and all that kind of stuff, then we'll know. Otherwise, it's just another.
Okay, well, we're about done, I guess. I had a couple more things, but there's one thing I did have that I can talk about. Hard of hearing, Pornhub is being sued by a deaf man for lack of closed captioning.
Yeah,
Now, Pornhub is probably the most popular porno site on.
if you say so.
Well, that's what I heard. But anyway, it says he's suing because he's watching the porno and he can't hear it.
Yeah.
He's deaf, so he wants to make sure there's closed captioning. He's suing them, claiming that violates his rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Right.
And some of his favorite titles, with names like Hot Step Aunt Babysits Disobedient Nephew and Sexy Cop Gets Witness to blah, blah, blah. Pornhub, of course, responded and said, we have closed captioning, you just pay for it. Yeah. So I just thought,
See how it goes.
this is what you sue, what attorney is going to take this? I guess there's plenty of them.
It all depends. I don't know. That sounds like a losing case, but all right. Hey. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, TJ. I wish I had checked over. I checked about halfway through and didn't see anybody. Pandering is pandering. Thanks for joining us, man. Good to see you. These tracks brought to you by Kevin MacLeod, as you can see there. We appreciate it. We'll be back on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. This time for sure.
Well, assuming no power outage.
Yeah.
We're supposed to actually have winter this week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's moving on in.
Yeah, we might actually get down into the 30s.
All right. All right. See you soon.